All right, back here with CBS Sports college basketball analyst Tim Doyle. I didn't see this coming. A 20-point win for Texas. Now, they did beat Kansas final game of the regular season 1 week ago. So this is sort of like rinse and repeat.
Yeah, and it's really how they beat Kansas. I mean, utter domination in this game. Game was not competitive in the second half. And if you go back to the latest game between these two teams, Texas held Kansas to 59 points. That ain't good. What Texas is exposing with the Jayhawks is Texas has a real deal backcourt. Kansas has two wing pros, right, in Wilson and Grady Dick. But they don't have that guard play that they had last year, the guard play that's good enough in order for them to win a national championship. So what wins this time of year? Well, experience, defense, and you got to have guards that you trust. I look at Kansas guards, and I'm like, you're okay. And whenever your voice goes up that high, that means you lack confidence and you really don't believe that. Texas has guys that have been around the block. So Jabari Rice is a fifth-year guy, New Mexico State transfer. He's been great. Marcus Carr, another guy, fifth-year guy. He had stops at Pitt, Minnesota, and now Texas. What's the difference between these two teams, Akeem? Texas has great, experienced guards. Kansas doesn't.
Look at the bench points and the points off of turnovers. And they shot the ball 50%. When you shoot the ball 50%, it's tough to beat a team.
Hey, and let's not forget, Kansas had no Bill Self. He was not on the sidelines. And Norm Roberts has been side by side with him for years. So there's obviously a trust with the guys with Norm. But still, Bill Self was not there. Kansas is one of those teams, though, that the bracket is not out. But I'm already starting to put like a little question mark next to their name. Depending on who they play, Kent State, in Iona, depending on who they see in the tournament, I think they could easily fall into a trap and lose very early.
All right, so you're saying that Texas has exposed Kansas in back-to-back games. Final game of the regular season, they hold them to 59 points. Big 12 championship, they hold them to 56 points.
You know, when I see Kansas, I just go, I don't believe they're national championship material. Are they good enough to go to a Final Four? Yes, they have two guys that are probably going to start in the NBA on their wings. That's pretty good right now in college basketball. But as far as, their steady guard play, their depth, Joseph Yesufu is a guy who was a pretty good player at Drake. Now he's become almost like a main cog just because you could see them searching for that other guard relief. Texas exposed them in that game. So what does it take to beat a Kansas team? You need some experienced guard play. You need guards that have been around the block. So matchups are going to be really important for them because at the end of the day, with Jalen Whistler and Grady Dick, there's not too many guys in the wing that can match up with the two of them. But they have a big hole, and it's at the guard position.
How much do you think it impacted them not having Bill Self on the sideline?
Yeah, no doubt. It's like when I come in studio and I don't see you. You're my rock. You know what I mean?
Thank you.
There's a belief. You can go back old school to like the Christian Laettner Grant Hill play against Kentucky when Grant Hill threw the ball late. There was a belief that Coach K said, we're going to score on this play, right? Bill Self's been around a long time. It seems like he wins the Big 12 every single year. It should be like the Big 12 Bill Self conference. So, yes, I do think that hurt them. But I think Texas exposed them, at least to me, that if they get a matchup with really good guards, I think they're going to be in trouble.
Okay, yeah, because we've seen time in and time out how guard play gets you to a Final Four. We saw it with North Carolina, right? I mean, their guard play was great, but so was Kansas' guard play last season when they came back to win the national championship. All right, when you look at Texas and what they've gone through, right, you got Rodney Terry stepping in as interim coach here, replacing Chris Beard amid that situation, and rallies this team together. This team was already good. It wasn't like, hey, we've got to come together. This team was already good when all that went down. But to bring this team together and lead them to a Big 12 championship, what does that say? What does that mean for this program?
I didn't think it was possible. I think Rodney Terry needs to be in the conversation for National Coach of the Year.
Okay, wow.
Along with what Chris Collins has done at Northwestern, Dusty May at Florida Atlantic, 30-plus wins. I mean, usually you lose a guy like Chris Beard, who experts say one of the top basketball minds in either pro or college. You lose him, and now it's like, you start to lose that trust. You got a bunch of transfers coming in. How are these guys all going to play well together? And Rodney Terry, I don't know if it's the circle glasses, a la little John Lennon look there, but and some tints on it. But, man, it's working out in a big way. These guards have been outstanding. He has an experienced group. When I look at this year's NCAA tournament, the way I'm going to handicap it is I'm going to look at continuity culture, experience. So many teams right now, because of the transfers, right, they lack that culture, all that continuity. If you have that, man, what a huge advantage that you have. It looked like Texas knew they were going to beat Kansas. Like, it's almost like when a batter owns a pitcher, like they just knew how to take their best punch. But as far as Rodney Terry, he's not going to win National Coach of the Year, but he deserves to be in the running, and he deserves to keep this job.
Yeah.
You think he keeps this job?
Perhaps. I mean, there's a lot of big names out
Jay
there.
Wright. Jay Wright. That's what I heard.
He wants to come back?
Jay Wright.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Oh, now, if he gets, then do I get bumped? And then, because Jay's in studio for us.
Correct.
You know, like there's going to be movement.
You talk to your agent about that.
Coaching
that's not
movement,
my job.
announcer movement is good for us, Akeem.
Sure. No, absolutely. You're absolutely right about that. That's above my pay grade. You got to talk to the powers that be. All right, so Texas wins the Big 12. What's the ceiling for this team? Is this could this be, like, is this a Final Four team?
You know, I think when you look at them, you go, nah, I think first thought is no. But then when you really start diving in, let's not forget Timmy Allen was not a go.
Right.
He was a scratch as well. You know what they have? They have depth, and they defend at an extremely high level. I mean, when you shut down Kansas back-to-back games, 59 points, and then you absolutely just close them out in the Big 12 championship game, you know, you have something here. So you need to start buying into this Texas squad. I think this is a group of guards that's growing with confidence. So I think going into conference tournament play, I said, oh, this is a team that could certainly win a couple games and make some noise. Now, after the dominance of Kansas, who supposedly could be a number 1 seed, how could you not think that when it's all said and done in Houston, they're the last team standing?
Does the quad 1 conversation matter to you at all, a guy who played Division I basketball at the highest level? Because Texas has 14 quad 1 wins, second most behind Kansas with 17. Does that matter in the conversation? And I know you're not a seeding guy, but when you are looking at the bracket and you go, okay, who deserves a 1, who deserves a 2? What, in your eye, what is the qualification?
I think it's scheduling. Now, a lot has to do with the quad 1 wins because the Big 12 was rated so high, so you had so many opportunities to go out there and get the wins. I think it's really hard to determine what the committee looks at. You know, net is a big thing.
Yep.
Well, if you're a mid-major, how are you going to grow a net when no one wants to play you?
Right.
So I think that the committee and the selection process is a bit flawed. I actually feel like they should slot 2 mid-major spots so that the mid-majors have an opportunity, because that's why we watch the tournament. You know, Texas had so many opportunities. Kansas had so many opportunities because of their league. I think Texas opened up a lot of eyes in the way they won this tournament. They took great care of the basketball. They had an old school feel to them. They defend. Those are the teams that I project are going to have success in the tournament. Teams that guard, teams that are experienced, that culture. And Rodney Terry's done an amazing job. I'll admit it. I did not think that this had any opportunity, Akeem, to go down the path that has gone. But Texas, they are for real.
I'm interested to see what the committee says about Texas on Sunday. I really am. Because right now, before this win, they're on the 2 line. What happens?
How could you make Kansas 1 and them a 2?
That's because of the quad 1 wins, because of the net. All of that is what's computed into the bracket.
That's why I let Jerry Palm
and
his suspect ties decide whatever he wants to decide.
This is fun for us, right? This is fun for us to debate the 1 and the 2 seeds, because at the end of the day, does it really matter? No, sometimes it really doesn't.
Well, but twos do lose once in a while.
Right.
Well, ones have only lost once.
Right. You do want the 1, but to me, it's like if you're one of those top tier teams, the 1 or the 2 seed. Look, I'm not trying to just win my first round game. I'm trying to get to Houston to the Final Four. So whoever you put in front of me, I got to take care of business, right? It's just like Purdue playing Rutgers and Ohio State. You got to handle that.
If Kansas gets a 1 over Texas, if the way Texas beat Kansas the last 2 games, I'm sorry, that just comes into committee bias of like, oh, but they won it last year. Oh, it's Kansas. So I know they can tell you whatever they want to tell you as far as the committee. 1s matter. Only 1 has ever lost, right? Virginia lost to UMBC. 2s have lost a lot more, a greater number. So the 1 and 2 matter. If Kansas is a 1 over Texas and Texas is a 2, it's definitely like emoji eye roll. Like, how could it not be? It's like, well, how does that make any sense?
Well, we'll talk to Jerry Palm and get the latest on that. We'll see what he has to say, because I like what you had to say. And hey, Texas Big 12 champs, if they win the championship, and you get a futures
Is that
ticket
the same
at
coat?
20 to 1.
Is that the same coat you have on right now in the picture?
It is. I took that picture like 6 months ago.
I mean, Casilius just looked like he fell off a tanning bed. It just rolled over to the photo shoot.
Looks great. When the field of 68 is set, be sure to fill out your brackets with us. Join the CBS Sports HQ Bracket Challenge. Scan the QR code on your screen for the invitation to compete against our guys and gals if you want to get the bragging rights, and join now. Test your skills against all your favorite HQ personalities, including Tim Doyle, the CBS Sports HQ team of experts. I'm not an expert. I just host these shows. But hey, I'm going to put a bracket in there because I love me some bracket games.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.